Welcome to the AxeCast. This special edition is all about Halloween. Around this time of year, every year, in late October, we always get the sense that there's this tension, maybe even this question, especially if you're from a Judeo-Christian underpinning at your church or maybe the church down the street. They're having a fall festival party. They're having a candy jamboree. It's this unspoken sort of thought or question that sometimes is articulated. As a Christian, can you celebrate Halloween? At the X Academy, I say you hijack Halloween. Here we go. All right, welcome to the special Halloween edition of the Axe Academy. The Axe Academy is, in case you're wondering, a specialized life development and community learning platform for leaders who really, honestly, want to make their life count. You can check out what we do and how we do it at theaxeacademy.com. It's $100 a year or $10 a month, and it invests into you as you invest in yourself. We believe at the Axe Academy that you are a spiritual being and a physical being, all wrapped up in one. Therefore, people live on bread and people live on bread. Let me explain. Shareword.org. You can put a Bible in the hands of someone who is waiting for it in India right now for $5. Because we don't live just on bread alone, but on the bread, on every word that comes out of the mouth of God. But we also live on bread, actual physical bread. Check out feedone.com and learn how you can feed a child in the developing world for $10 for an entire month. I love what Mother Teresa says, if you can't feed 100, then just feed one. So as a Christian, can you celebrate Halloween? Well, let's peel back the layers of this because there are a few of them, and let's go back to maybe the origin of Halloween. To do so, you got to go back to Ireland's Celtic past. Samhain was a fire festival, really an autumn festival that happened at the later part of October. It was this festival that the word Sam means summer and Fuin means the end. And really what that would be more like to is sort of a modern New Year's Day celebration. So you had this festival in Ireland in the Celtic past that was basically the end of the year. It sort of carried the notion of the old and the new all coming around, really centered around the harvest. It's a time when all the crops would have been gathered in. You harvest those crops, you process those crops, you're getting ready really for winter. Livestock is brought in, it's either bred or slaughtered. And then there was this also sort of spiritual component at the end of the year when souls would depart that had been sort of, let's just say, compiled for the previous year. And this spiritual time was really where the underworld and the overworld, or our world and the netherworld, came close together. So close, in fact, that the dead and the living would really at times overlap. And so dressing up as a demon or as a spirit allowed you to roam freely on the earth. And if you were encountered by one of these spirits, a banshee, a fairy, anything from the other world, you would really actually be able to move by them because your disguise would be as such. Now, that was happening in the sort of Celtic past of Ireland. There was a Roman autumn festival that happened as well. That was called the Pomona Festival. And to really understand this, you have to really kind of peel back the layers of the goddess of the fruit tree. Pomona, the goddess of this fruits, of the tree, especially was associated with one fruit. And if you guessed the one that you bob for, apples. Now, you got this celebration in autumn at the end of the year in Roman times around the apple. And when Christianity arrives in Europe and in Ireland, it's sort of inevitable that eventually that the Christian event, if you will, is going to maybe spin this pagan culture, both in the Celtic Ireland and in Roman Europe, into a more palatable or acceptable Christian event. Enter Pope Boniface. Now, in the 7th century, he takes November 1st and he makes it All Saints' Day. It's also known as All Hallows' Day. And so the evening before, well, naturally became the evening before, which would be the eve of All Hallows' Day. In other words, Hallows' Day became Hallows' Eve, and it's not a far cry or a short stretch to see even where the word Halloween starts to come into play in the way that we describe October 31st leading to November 1st. So if you're going to celebrate Halloween, really just know that Halloween has been hijacked. It started out in the Celtic past of Ireland. It was Pomona's festival in Rome. And then Pope Boniface really hijacks Halloween. So when you're asked the question, can you celebrate Halloween? What you're really celebrating is the hijacking of Halloween itself. But my favorite part, and this really isn't where I'm going, but I had to at least do a little bit of research because we know the favorite part of any kid's tradition when it comes to celebrating Halloween or the fall festival or whatever it is that you call it is the trick-or-treating. Now, I dug a little bit and I actually went into the Smithsonian articles and archives and I got the earliest known reference to trick-or-treating, according to them, printed in November 4th, 1927, in the edition of a Blackie, what was called the Blackie, which was basically the Alberta, Canada Herald, talks of Halloween. Yet another thing to be thankful for from the great white north of Canada. That snowy, lake-filled, moosing, Mounties, poutine, beautiful expanse of Canada brought us trick-or-treating. Long live Canada. But really, Halloween has been hijacked. The first hijacking of Halloween was all about, I guess, celebrating at some level what it meant to be a saint. All Saints' Day on November 4th was that Hallows Day, and then that Hallows Eve really was the night before we celebrate all the saints. So the better question when it comes to can you celebrate Halloween is maybe, what does it take to become a saint? Well, according to some Catholic tradition, first they got to investigate your life, and then second, there's got to be some more investigating, and then you, are deemed a servant of God, and then third, you have to live a life of heroism or a heroic life, and then you're called venerable. But there's a fourth step. You got to have a miracle declared that happened through you as the vessel. And so there's got to be some proof to that miracle. But fifth, you actually have to do a miracle again. Not you, maybe, but, God moving through you. And it has to be proved a second time. And then you're finally declared a saint. So can you celebrate Halloween? I'm going to leave that to you. You can make that decision whether you're going to let your kids dress up, whether you're going to let your kids trick or treat, whether you yourself as a kid, even though you're 45, are going to go door to door, dressed as Dora the Explorer. Now, I do talk about this in one of the Axe Academy's Axe courses about 4 ways to engage culture. And when you come to questions like this, especially around can you participate in this, you're going to fall into one of those veins. I would encourage you to check that out by going on to the Axe Academy and using the code Hijack Halloween, and you can actually watch that Axe course and find out those 4 ways to engage culture that will really help you make the decision on if you can or cannot celebrate Halloween. Use the code Hijack Halloween and get a free month on me. Watch the Axe course on how to engage culture. But for me, for that question, can you celebrate Halloween? I'll say it as clearly as I can. I say we hijack Halloween. I say you hijack it like it's been hijacked throughout the millennia. For me, this question of what it means to be a saint, that's my wife. That's my mom. That's a lot of people in my life. I've investigated their life. I've investigated it more, and I've seen them a servant not only of God, but also to people. They are my heroes. I would call them venerable. There has been plenty of miracles, walking, some seen and some unseen. Miracle like my sister, a miracle like my own life, a miracle like my own kids. There's been proof of those miracles time and time again. I don't need second miracles because I'm on to the fifth and sixth miracles of the saints in my life. So hijack Halloween. On October 31st, why don't you call your mom or your dad or someone in your life, your old coach, an old pastor, a police officer, someone that impacted your life that you would deem a saint because their life, after close investigation, has become one of your heroes. And the miracle is that their life collided with yours for the first and maybe the second time. Hijack Halloween and call somebody out of the blue for no reason. Maybe to wish them All Hallows Eve, maybe to wish them Happy Fall Festival or Happy Winter Solstice, or celebrate the crops that you just put in the barn, or that prize pig that will feed that family for the whole winter. Whatever the case is, hijack Halloween and call someone and thank them for the sainthood that's in their life that has impacted your life. Don't text them. Don't email them. Don't drop them a line on some social media site digitally. Hijack Halloween and move into the deep with a saint in your life and thank them. Use it as a connecting point of someone that you needed to appreciate the last 10 months and just hijack Halloween and say thanks. It's probably the best treat that you could ever give them. Now, for my Catholic brothers and sisters that are out there, in no way, shape, or form do I want you to think that I think less of the process of being a saint. I'm using the metaphor and the criteria for it to hijack Halloween. You can learn a lot from Pope Boniface and the popes that follow. And one of the things I appreciate most is when we open up the world that's already there to explain a metaphor that is new, and it becomes something totally different. So thanks for stopping by on this special edition of the AxeCast at the Axe Academy. Remember, use the code Hijack Halloween and get a free month on me. That's better than me sending you a Snickers bar in the mail. Although, if you want to send me a Snickers bar in the mail, my P.O. box is on the website. My name is Eric Samuel Timm, and as we say at the Axe Academy, keep sharpening that axe and keep swinging away.